I'll outline what those are and how I think we can achieve them. The first step is to pick our battles. I've narrowed it down to what I think are the 8 most important challenges we face as a country and as a people, and they start with remembering who we are. No national legacy. America's first major problem is that we have forgotten our roots. Too many of us don't know or don't feel connected to those who founded our country. In 2007, a national survey commissioned by the U.S. Mint found that only 30% of Americans knew that Thomas Jefferson was our 3rd president, and only 7% could name the first 4 presidents in order. If you're a part of the 93%, they were George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, and James Madison. The fact is, most Americans don't have a clue why our founders created this country, what principles motivated them, or why they framed our Constitution the way they did. As citizens of this great country, we need to renew our understanding of the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. We need to go back and study the debates between the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists. We need to examine other important documents of our history, like the Articles of Confederation, the Bill of Rights, and the Northwest Ordinance. We need to sit down and learn all the important American history we should have learned in school, and probably didn't. You might not have thought it mattered then, but you have to understand that it matters now. If Americans don't know their constitutional history, then they won't care or even acknowledge that our Constitution of Liberty is being transformed into a charter for big government, which is exactly what has happened over a period of decades. You know that old saying, too many cooks in the kitchen? That's how I feel about our representatives in Congress. There are too many cooks in the kitchen, 535 to be exact. And even what they've cooked is inedible. I've seen them scream and squabble at each other until they had to have a time-out, just like kids in grammar school. Another way to see federal government is like an octopus with its tentacles overreaching and overextending into every facet of society. Clearly, the government we have today is not the government outlined in the Constitution. It's grown far beyond the limits the Constitution sets, and as a result, we are facing dangers from which the Constitution's framers tried to preserve us. The framers set out a path for us, and we've strayed from it. And the first thing any rational man does when he's lost his way is to look at a map. If you think, as I do, that America has taken a wrong turn, studying America's history is the first step to helping us find our way back. No control over spending. America's second major problem is debt. On January 1st, 1791, during George Washington's 2nd year as president, the national debt was about $75 million. On September 30th, 2007, the government estimated the balance owed was now more than $9 trillion. The nonprofit, Nonpartisan Institute for Truth in Accounting calculates the actual national deficit is closer to a staggering $56 trillion. Even at $9 trillion, that means to eliminate the national debt would require every American to pay roughly $30,000 each. Of course, that's not going to happen, especially since the average American has almost the same income-debt ratio as the federal government. Often not highlighted, but equally alarming, is our trade deficit, which has ballooned over the past decade. The Wall Street Journal recently reported, in just 15 years, our annual trade deficit has mushroomed to over $800 billion from $38 billion in 1993. With Mexico, our trade surplus evolved into a $90.7 billion trade deficit. With China, our trade deficit jumped to $250 billion today from about $22 billion. President George H.W. Bush once estimated that a $1 billion trade deficit represents 13,000 lost jobs. Do the math. According to the Federal Reserve, the total